I could have communicated something poorly. And as a result of that, what I think and what my past customers think is easy to understand, this person did not. Hey everybody, Neil Wintereg with Matterhorn Business Development. And today I want to talk to you about the mistake that you made and how you're going to fix it. Now, what mistake is it you're asking? Well, I don't know. But you do. One of the most important things as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a manager, as anybody who is in charge or has responsibilities about anything from taking care of a goldfish to running a Fortune 500 company, you have to be able to admit when you make mistakes and how your actions create or generate problems that you might be running into. So what do I mean about making mistakes and taking responsibility for it? Well, I have my own small business, and recently I had a situation where me and a potential customer met. We discussed the different options of everything that he needed. I gave him different pricing for what it is that he wanted to do, and we went our separate ways. We then had a hurricane come through, and we had a lot going on, and he reached out to me and he said, "Hey man, I'm now ready to get that thing." I said, "Cool, we can do it next week." He's like, "Oh, that'd be sweet." We go out, we do everything. I send him the invoice. I'm there, I'm at his house, I invoice him everything. He's like, "Yeah, I'll just hit the pay link later tonight when I'm done here and get you paid." Sweet. Okay, well, at 10 o'clock at night, I get an email from him and he says, "Hey Neil, I went to pay the invoice and the amount was wrong. I thought it was X amount." And there was a difference between what I actually charge and what he thought I charged. Now, it was about 10:15 at night. I did not want to get into a discussion about it or call him and whatever. So I thought about it overnight and I thought, man, I don't know how he came up with that number. I double checked my notes from when I went out there. I wrote down while I was seeing him what prices I quoted him. And so I called him the next day and I said, "Hey man, I saw your email. I apologize, but that price that you thought, that's definitely not my price because this is my price. I wrote it down while I was there with you that this was the price." And he said, "Well, that's weird because on my notes, I thought it was this price." And I had to sit there and take responsibility for the fact that while we were there and while we were talking about different options and different things, it is possible that I communicated something in a way that he did not understand the price for that exact thing that he wanted. And because sometimes options and this and that and these things can get passed around, it could be for somebody who's just hearing it for the first time. Whereas in my head, I think it's very simplistic and easy to understand. It's possible that somebody might get confused with different numbers of things. And in their mind, they write down one price and I write down a different price. And then when he calls me 4 weeks later and says, "Yeah, I want to do that," I think he's thinking with one price and he thinks I'm thinking with another price. So now I've done the job, I've done the service, and we are at a delta on what we think the price is. He was being very nice and very respectful when I called him. And I said, "You know what? I feel bad because you think this. I want to meet you in the middle. Let's do it at this price. Is that okay with you?" He said, "Yeah, that's fine." And he paid the invoice and everything was great. But I had to sit there because I can't just sit here and say, because I'm the best salesman and I know what I'm doing, that he's a moron and wrote down the wrong price and it's all his fault, because that may not be correct. I could have communicated something poorly. And as a result of that, what I think and what my past customers think is easy to understand, this person did not. So I sat there and thought, what am I going to do? Well, instead of writing everything down and making my notes and him making his notes, I decided that what I had to do is start doing an immediate on-site written estimate through my QuickBooks account that I could email to them. So my handling was, okay, from now on, I get their contact info, and while I'm with them, I send them the written estimate. And then I can say, "I just sent you what we just talked about in the written estimate. Did you get it?" "Yes, I have it right here." Perfect. Now I have a written record that I know that they have received of the exact price that we talked about. And on my QuickBooks, it's going to hold on to that. So if they do call me 2 months from now, I can double check and make sure that I have the right price and they have the right price. So that was my solution for it. Now, this is a very small thing, but here's the thing. You are probably running into similar situations like this, and you've been very firm and stuck and holding the line of this is the greatest thing and people love it and I don't have to change anything. But you have to look at what's actually happening. You know, sometimes it's very funny to go down like certain rabbit holes on YouTube. Occasionally I watch some of like the compilations of like Gordon Ramsay walking into these like dying restaurants and just seeing all the chaos and things that are going on. And you know what's funny about every clip I've ever seen of that show, and I'm not like an expert or anything, right? But every failing restaurant is convinced their food is the best in the world and nobody is there eating it. That means that you have to look at what it is that you're doing that is causing it to not have people in here, and if your business has problems and you're convinced that this is not it and it's the customer's fault or it's this person's fault or whatever, you have to be able to look internally, because if you make a mistake, you have to fix it. And if it's a chronic mistake, you have to change what it is that you're doing that's creating that. And the first thing to do at doing that is being willing to accept you made mistakes. We all make mistakes, but it's people who hide from them that will never stand back up and make it. It's people who raise their hand and say, I messed up and this is what I'm gonna do. A good leader, a good business owner, a good CEO is not afraid to sit there and tell their staff, you know what? I messed this one up. You guys were right. And here's what we're gonna do about it. It's the coward who can't sit there and see their own actions through the eyes of other people that is refusing to change, that will just go down with that sinking ship being right the whole time. So be willing to make a mistake, learn from it, and then change what it is that you do so that it doesn't happen again. Me, as I said, I discovered that as I had more leads coming in and talking to more people about my business, I couldn't rely on just my handwritten notes, which I love doing. I love my handwritten sales notes and everything else. I had to accept that in today's world, and with different options and prices being passed around, I had to do an immediate estimate with all the pricing and everything right there so that me and the customer are on the same page, because I potentially could have lost quite a bit of money on that other job, even though I know I didn't make a mistake. But it is my responsibility that the prospect knows exactly how much it costs. And if he walked away from that with a different price, that's on me. It takes a man and it takes a grown-up to be willing to admit that. So you also have to be willing to look at what mistakes are you making and what steps and actions are you going to take so it doesn't happen again. I hope you found this helpful. This is a time where you have to go and look in the mirror and reflect at your actual actions and results. And if you want better results and you need help changing your actions, we want you to join us with our Growth Hub for Entrepreneurs, where you can get free information from other like-minded entrepreneurs like yourself and get more in-depth training from us at absolutely no cost. So click the link down below and I hope to see you there.